We dedicate this week's episode to your questions. Next on Talking Cars. Welcome back. I'm Jennifer Stockberger.
I'm Ryan Pizlakowski.
I'm Gabe Shanhar.
So you guys have been so great about sending your questions, TalkingCars@iCloud.com. Keep them coming. But we had so many that we thought we'd do another all questions episode. So we're going to get right into it. We have a bunch to answer. Some of them might even be some rapid fire answers, a little quicker. But we have 2 videos to start. First one's from Jamie. Take a listen.
Driving around, I've noticed an ever-increasing amount of large trucks, and wonder if many of these trucks are being used for what they were intended to. And thinking that maybe there might be some other solutions rather than very expensive trucks and vehicles which are difficult to park. I look forward to you replying, and thank you again for everything you do.
So Jamie, he's sitting on a trailer in the video. He's kind of alluding to the fact that there may be other ways other than a pickup to carry things. So Gabe, any thoughts for Jamie?
Is this like a hidden commercial for his own business, building trailers?
Does Jamie sell trailers? We're good.
Well, I think if you have one car in the family and don't want to own a pickup truck, then that's a good solution. I mean, if once in a blue moon you need to move something that you need an open bed for, then that might be a good solution.
And, we have a pickup truck, but we also have a small trailer.
Yeah, I think trailers too are a little intimidating to some people. Right. You pull into a parking lot, you got to back up or maneuver it. Not everyone's great at that, so it can cause some issues. But absolutely, you can get the same amount done. Even in fact, a trailer you can almost put more in sometimes, depending. But
right, and I think Gabe, your point of how often you need to carry something dirty or in an open bed is a good decision. Like I say, we need to do it all the time, but if you don't, a trailer might be a great option. So Jamie, good point. Thanks so much. Next video, Davis from North Carolina.
Hey, Talking Cars, just wanted to show you my 2018 Honda Accord 2-liter sport model. As a big fan of your show, I noticed that you give a lot of advice about following the manual and the recommendations that are in it. However, I've noticed that in Hondas nowadays, and possibly some other automakers too, that number one, there is no manual. Hashtag save the owner's manuals. Haha, that one's for Mike Quincy. There's also no schedule in there either. And so one thing I'm not a fan of is the maintenance minder system. And so while it might be easier for some folks because it's just plug and play, and it's out of mind and out of thought for some people, it makes it automatic. I find it a little unsettling in that I don't know what's coming up, or for instance, what happens if you get off schedule on your maintenance monitor. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts are about that, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.
So yes, Davis, obviously you may be a paper pusher and a planner like I am with my papers here. But yeah, it's a little different that not only are the cars prompting you for maintenance, but you don't get all the paper.
Yeah, it's nice to see, and be able to plan out if you are going to go to the dealer and how many you can do, 2 birds with 1 stone kind of a thing.
Yep.
Knock out 2 different maintenance things.
And how much it's going to cost.
Yeah, but it's nice to see it laid out. I definitely agree with that. The oil, the car's going to usually tell you anyway, so and you should follow that either way. But yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, and sometimes I think these systems know better. If you're an easy driver, we had a question a couple weeks ago, a guy who hadn't changed his oil. It was still showing, a huge percentage of life, but he was approaching a year. So there's some times in there too. You can download the manual, the maintenance schedules online at the Honda site. So if you like that, Davis, go for it and get those as well. I probably would too.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move from our videos to our written questions. The first one we have is from Steven. My wife and I are looking for a midsize SUV. We don't need a 3rd row, and we have found the compact SUV, to be too small. It seems like the 2-row SUV market is small. We've decided on a Hyundai Santa Fe, but we're concerned about reliability. Are we making a good choice? Okay, I'm going to throw this one to you.
He's absolutely right that the offerings among mid-size 2-row SUVs are limited. It's basically a Ford Edge, Nissan Murano, and now newcomers like the Chevy Blazer we just got, and the Honda Passport, which we're picking up today. The Santa Fe, which we just tested, is a good choice. It's very roomy. I would say stick to the regular standard engine and don't go for the turbo engine because of its hesitation and nonlinear power delivery. So I think you can't go wrong there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Santa Fe is a good choice.
We used to have one. We had a Santa Fe many years ago, my husband and I, and it was great. We opted to trade it in for the pickup, but it served us very, very well.
But there are going to be a lot more choices in that segment of the market, and the Chevy Blazer is one example. We're actually publishing the Chevy Blazer First Drive online today.
Oh, so there you go. It's funny. Just a quick funny story. I had the Blazer, and it's brand new, so we haven't done very much with it yet. But I had it in the local supermarket parking lot, and I'm walking in, and this guy's like following me through the aisles, and he stops and he's like, "Is that the new Chevy Blazer?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." He goes, "The best looking SUV they've done." He was so excited. But it's funny, you don't realize how people are waiting for these.
I know.
You know, we talked about resurrecting the old names.
I'm surprised by that reaction though, because I feel like the name is Blazer, everyone recognizes that, but it doesn't look like a Blazer. The old Blazer was a big truck. I mean, my mom had two of them, my sister had. That was her first car, and it just doesn't look like that. It's a totally different car. It's quite nice.
Yeah, he thought it was great.
Yeah.
He thought it was great, so maybe he'll see it too. It was just kind of funny. But yeah, we will talk more about the Chevy Blazer next week. If you're interested, tune in next week as well. Second question here, second written question. Hi, CR, #1 fan here. Thank you, Mike. This is from Mike. Very soon we'll be in the market for my teenage daughter's first car. We're thinking of a Subaru with eyesight among the Crosstrek, Forester, and Legacy. Which would be the best choice and why? Thanks so much. This is, I mean, I've said it before. This is what we just did. Again, my daughter is 19. We leased her a Impreza with eyesight for all the exact same reasons you're referencing. My vote among those three would be the Crosstrek. Little smaller, a little more manageable if she's a new driver. Not sure she's a new driver, she's a teenager. But don't rule out the Impreza.
Yeah, mine too. I almost did that with the Crosstrek that we finished testing and sold. I almost picked that for my son.
Right.
But yeah, I think the advantage there is that it gives you some SUV-ish kind of practicality. Right. The ride height's a little elevated, so it's a nice commanding kind of driving position, so it's all good.
Yeah, and question for you actually. We seem to get a good deal on our Impreza, I think because of the popularity of the Crosstrek.
Absolutely.
So that might be worth looking at the numbers and we make her pay for it during the summer when she's home from college. So a little skin in the game too, as well. Yeah, so good question, Mike. Yeah, he's living my life there. Next question is from Dave. I forgot who your tires expert is on the show. Oh, who could that be? But I have a question.
Should I leave?
Yes. But I don't believe this question has been answered. I have aftermarket tires on my 2013 Ram 1500 that are the same size as the stock tires. I've been using the cold pressure on the door placard, but I know that's for the stock tires. The only info I can find on the aftermarket tires is the max pressure, which isn't recommended. Thanks for any info, tire expert. What do you got?
Great question. Yeah, same pressure. If it's the same size, you're going to use the same pressure. If it was a different size, it would be slightly different pressure. You'd have to do some calculations to figure that out.
Yep.
But yeah, same size and or same pressure rather, and very good to note that you don't use the max pressure on the sidewall.
Right. So he's right there, but he missed that. So that placard's for every tire you put on the car.
Car manufacturer puts that there because it's designed to that standard. So.
Dave, you are not alone in asking that question. Evan asks, are manufacturer-supplied cars that are lent to magazines and reviewers tuned and set up exactly like the production vehicles consumers would buy? So Gabe not only manages what cars we buy, but the cars we do rent and sometimes have from manufacturers.
We have enough anecdotal knowledge that press cars usually are handpicked by the manufacturer. They send the cars with the tightest tolerances and everything is like up to snuff to the press. We've also seen that some cars come with summer tires, so they can
Better handling.
achieve better grip, better handling in car reviews.
All the more reason that we buy the ones we buy.
You bet. So that's
That's
a
the
huge
exact reason, Evan.
huge advantage when you come to Consumer Reports. You know that the formal road tests are based on actual cars, run-of-the-mill cars that you and I are buying.
Okay, moving to Everett. Why does your show continually support the all-wheel drive myth? I watch every week and you consistently speak of how cars benefit from all-wheel drive. One of your engineers is excited about the Prius all-wheel drive. As you know, front-wheel drive with snow tires, good all-season tires, or all-weather tires perform as well without the additional weight, mechanical complexity, or the loss of fuel economy. What gives? And I think we've had this similar question before. And I just want to say to Everett, I don't think we do perpetuate the myth. But I think maybe because of where we live, there are many of us, myself included, all-wheel drive is a must. And I think it was Jake on the episode who his wife has an 06 Prius, and for the first time she's thinking about replacing it with the all-wheel drive.
Yeah, the advantage to all-wheel drive is moving forward, getting going.
Right, you've done some testing, exactly these combinations.
Right, and he's absolutely right. I mean, for a lot of people, a front-wheel drive car with a good set of snow tires on it is unbelievable. I mean, it's almost it gives you a peace of mind. Like you know, if you take off on a slippery road with a front-wheel drive car with snow tires and it slips a little bit, it's slippery.
Right.
I better drive
Right.
slowly.
You take your cues from the road.
Right. Whereas there's times when an all-wheel drive vehicle with say regular all-season tires on it, you can get going. And then once you're moving along, you kind of forget that you are on all-season tires. And they may be good all-season tires, but they have a limited ability. And then you can't stop or turn that well.
Right.
Because you have this false sense of, well, I've got it going, no problem.
I think it's the climbing.
situational.
And it's the climbing.
Yeah.
For me and for Jake, that so when you hear us say we're very, tuned to all-wheel drive, it might be very personal, not necessarily CR saying that all-wheel drive is always great.
I mean,
because I don't think we do that.
By the same token, we stress that winter tires are a solution that works for many people. The only thing that must be noted, though, that it's kind of a pain, twice a year to replace tires, to keep another set on different wheels.
Right.
There is some futzing here.
Right. But Everett, you're exactly right. It's not a myth, but it is a need for some people. Paul writes, could you settle a debate, for some friends and I? I live in Ontario and I drive a fair bit in the winter. A very similar question. Snowdrifts and black ice are not uncommon, and many people have stories about ending up in a ditch during the winter. Aside from good winter tires, again, what other factors affect how a vehicle performs on winter roads? Manual transmission, traction control, clearance?
Driver?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the tires are the biggest thing. They're the only thing touching the road. So a good set of snow tires, absolutely. As far as transmission, for most people, I think an automatic it's just easier. It's less to have to worry about. The modern automatic transmission is very easy to drive. I mean, you can creep. Drive at get yourself moving without slipping the clutch and spinning the tires, depending on the situation. He mentions, what else he mentioned? The
traction control.
Traction control. So, a car that you can turn traction control off on momentarily to get some wheel spin so you can get out of the situations is a nice thing. Obviously, you're going to want to turn that back on once you get moving.
Right.
But that's a big thing. Sometimes you need a little bit of wheel spin to get the snow to clear out of the tires and, bite into the surface. And ground clearance, if you're going through deep snow, obviously.
Which it sounds like you might be.
Yeah, and if it's that deep, maybe you should just stay at home. But it's definitely ground clearance for sure. I mean, if you could build up enough snow in front of the car, it'll actually pick the car up off the road. And then when your tires aren't touching the road, guess what?
Right.
You're not going anywhere.
So all of those.
Yeah.
Good question. It sounds like, yes, you have some extremes, Paul, that you must
I hope
drive
that solves
it.
the debate, yeah.
Next question. Oh, it's right up my alley from Aline. My wife and I are expecting our first child in 4 months, and I think it's time to replace my 1996 Toyota Celica 5-speed with 280,000 miles. It definitely is. Not a good baby car. I'm looking for a fun, reliable car with all the safety gear, Android Auto, manual transmission. I could be persuaded to go automatic, he said. I'm leaning towards a 2018 Mazda 3 or Genesis G76 speed. With will those two cars baby? Question. Anything else I may have overlooked? So we do, as part of our evaluations, not just the child seat testing, but we actually put child seats in all of the cars. So I'm definitely leaning towards the Mazda3. The G70 is a great looking car. It's a lot more roomy up front than in the back.
In the back.
Yeah,
the back seat is tight.
That rear
Very
seat.
tight.
And you'll see, those rear-facing child seats take up a ton of room. So much so that you sometimes have to cheat the passenger in front of them, the front seat passenger, to get them to fit, because they have to be reclined a certain amount to protect the baby's breathing, et cetera, et cetera. So I would go for the Mazda3. Standard safety, which you talked about, Android Auto, available. The only other one I threw in there, but it doesn't have the Android Auto, is the Corolla hatch, which got really amazing fuel economy, manual available, reliable, standard safety. It just does not have the Android Auto.
What you need to know also is that the Mazda3 is just about to be redesigned, and there's going to be a new redesigned car in a month or so. And also, I'd try to maybe get a good deal on the outgoing BMW 3 Series. If you, clearly, this guy likes driving.
Yeah, sporty driver. Yep.
A 320i can probably be had for that, and it's one of the roomiest among the sports sedan category. So rear seat will definitely be baby friendly, and you can get it with a manual.
Cool. And so, do you think with the new Mazda 3 there could be a deal on the 18, which he's talking about?
There could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing too. Great. From Terry. There was a time when SUVs and minivans were categorized as trucks and therefore were not required to meet automobile safety and emissions standard. Is this still true, or is it a moot point since all passenger vehicles are required to meet the same government standards?
All passengers vehicles are required to meet them. There is a threshold, a GVW gross vehicle weighting threshold of 8,500 pounds.
Now, gross vehicle weight is just...
It's the weight of the vehicle plus all the fluids, all the passengers, and all the cargo
right. Okay.
it can
I just want to
take.
clarify, yep.
And that class usually includes heavy-duty pickup trucks, commercial vans, and the likes, so it doesn't apply to actual real passenger cars.
Right, and I looked at some of the safety standards as we were going through, and they either say passenger vehicles, which is any vehicle that carries 10 or less passengers, or this gross vehicle weight rating, 8,500, depending on the standard, 8,500, 10,000 under that. So once you get to the 3/4 ton pickups, they can start to not have to have child seat latches, for example, and things like that. But anything below that is going to.
You're getting into commercial.
Right, you're getting into commercial vehicles.
And those are the F-250 Super Duty and the Silverado 2500.
Right. Though they have much of it, even though they don't have to, they do have most of the safety
They've become
equipment.
a little more civilized.
Yes. From Will. Do you have any idea how IIHS plans to crash test vehicles in the future? A decade ago, there were only a few, moderate overlap, side and roof strength. Perhaps they will start to implement high-speed crash tests or putting everyday vehicles against semi-trucks. So, Will, to your point, this crash where you have a high-mass vehicle and a low-mass vehicle, hard to do because it's not comparative. But of course, we can't speak for the IIHS, but what we've seen is very similar to some of the stuff we're doing. IIHS has this full, complement of crash tests, as Will mentions, but they have begun awarding crash avoidance technologies in addition to the crash protection. So we've seen them, do automatic emergency braking, forward collision, headlights. And now they're looking at pedestrian detection systems. So they've skewed a little bit from protection to avoidance. And I think we'll have to see, unless some crash mode becomes very prominent, I think you'll see more of that and less crash tests. But also not destructive. A lot of the crash avoidance testing is not destructive to the car. So we'll see. From Cal, I recently got a 2017 GMC Yukon XL that has a push-button start. I can't seem to find any way to stay in the truck with the power on, but the engine off. Am I missing something somewhere? Can't find it in the manual or online anywhere.
Press the start button without your foot on the brake.
Yeah, so he's looking for an accessory mode, and that's the key. Yeah, with the brake, it'll start, but with it, there you go.
It won't stay on all day, but you'll get some time out of it.
But you'll get some accessory mode. Quick fire. Aiden, my wife wants to buy a Mazda3. I want her to buy a Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla since these cars should have a better value later on down the road. Is there any reason you'd recommend the Civic or the Corolla over the Mazda3 so I can use it to persuade her? So in unison, I think, Aiden, we'd say, let her get the Mazda. So we've talked about, we're kidding with Aiden, but we've talked about.
They're all great choices.
They're all great choices. But if she's the one who has to have herself in it, she should be in something.
I would take the Mazda3 though. I think it's more fun to drive.
Yeah.
The marital counseling is next door, by the way.
That's where you go for family counseling. His point is taken. The Civic and the Corolla probably have better, retention and resale value.
And they need to know that a new Mazda 3 is around the corner.
Right. Again, new Mazda 3 around the corner. So maybe a deal on an 18 or a new Mazda 3. But all great choices. Yeah. And I think that's the point. So Aiden, we'd let her get the Mazda 3. From Joseph, this is the last question we have. I bought a 2018 Volkswagen Golf TSI S, and I intend to replace the OEM tires, another tire question, before next winter. Unfortunately, my favorite tire isn't available in my car's size, P195/65R15. I live in Minnesota, so winter capability is important. Could you recommend an all-weather tire that's compatible with my car? I know a dedicated winter tire is the best option, but storage space in my condo comes at a premium. Tire guy?
So I was surprised that they still make tires that size. That's a small tire.
Seems perfectly normal to me.
So the original tire that he liked was the Continental. What is it? The Extreme Contact DWS. It's a ultra high performance all season tire. So in that size, you're not gonna. It doesn't exist because it's just those sizes are more. Those types of tires are more low profile, bigger tires. The Pure Contact he mentions is an all season performance all season tire, which is a great choice, but it doesn't come in that size. At least when I looked it up. He's in luck though, because we just tested last go around of our tire testing. We did a bunch of all-weather tires, and the Michelin Cross Climate Plus, which is a very unique looking tire. It's almost a summer tire with winter capabilities. It comes in very few sizes. It comes in this size. He's very lucky. I mean, there's like 6 sizes. It comes in this size. It's gonna be a little pricier than maybe some others, but you won't be disappointed.
Okay.
What about the Nokian WR? Or is my tire knowledge outdated?
Yeah, no, they still make those. They're great tires, but that has more of a snow tire feel to it. This is going to be like a summer tire.
Year-round.
Right. Yeah. But going back, the DWS that he liked is a sporty tire in the summer, and then it has some winter capabilities. This Cross Climate is like the best of both worlds. I mean, it's a sporty feeling tire in the summer, and then it has winter traction. So it's a no-brainer, if you ask me.
Sounds perfect, Joseph. There you go. So we certainly covered a lot of topics. We totally took advantage of Ryan being here for tire questions and Gabe being here for buying questions. We will do an all questions episode in the future for sure. Keep them coming. TalkingCars@iCloud.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.